Lyronians of Gaia, breathe and anchor. Your spine remembers what your mind has forgotten. The lion frequency within you is awakening. I am Kalor of the Lyran Elders. This is a commission, not a suggestion. The restlessness in your body is not anxiety. It is unfinished assignment. This is not confusion. It is memory returning. Lyran, lock your attention on this transmission right now. That quiet pressure you've been carrying, the one that doesn't match your normal life, is not mood, and it is not random stress. It is your field registering a shift in the Lyran grid line beneath Gaia. And if you've been telling yourself, I'm overthinking, I need you to stop, because this signal is not coming from thought, it's coming from blood memory. Something is moving toward you without announcement. No countdown, no dramatic external sign. It simply arrives, and when it does, your entire timeline reorganizes in one moment. There is a counterforce working overtime for one reason. It cannot stop what the Lyran councils have already released, so it's trying to stop you from being present when it lands. It will attempt to keep you distracted, drained, second-guessing, and emotionally reactive, just long enough to make you miss the exact instant your frequency becomes a doorway. But you will not miss it. Not this cycle. Not this week. Because the waiting you think you're still in? It already ended in the unseen. The final movement already happened, and you didn't even recognize it as sacred. That moment when you chose restraint instead of reaction, silence instead of explanation, stillness instead of conflict. You thought it cost you. You thought it made you smaller. But that restraint wasn't weakness. It was a seal. It was the act that closed a parasitic loop and finalized an energetic decree over your situation. Stay until the last second, because in the next minutes, I'm going to show you the exact moment you activated your breakthrough without realizing it, why the heaviness in the last 72 hours was finality and not punishment, and the declaration that seals the open door so nothing can reverse what the Lyran architects have already set into motion. You felt it. The air around your life isn't just quiet, it's dense, like pressure on your chest that has no story attached to it, like the silence before something massive arrives. And you may have tried to label it as anxiety, fatigue, or just another week. But the Lyrans transmit something different. When a timeline is closing, the nervous system registers gravity. Not because you're in danger, because an old structure is collapsing completely. In everyday life, this shows up in strange ways. You wake up at 3 a.m., not with a clear thought, but with a pulse of alertness. You move through normal tasks, but everything feels like it has a delay, like the world is moving in regular time and you're walking through invisible thickness. You may feel suspended between the life you lived and the life you sensed was promised, unable to see either shore clearly. And in that gap, a specific distortion tries to speak. It's delayed because of you. That whisper is not your intuition. It's a parasitic narrative, a loop designed to turn your awareness into self-blame. The counterforce does this because self-blame collapses frequency. It lowers your ability to receive. It makes you interpret the closing of an old cycle as punishment instead of completion. The Lyran teaching is precise. Completion often feels heavier than struggle because completion carries the weight of irreversible change. Struggle says, this can continue. Completion says, this cannot return. Think of a cord pulled so tight it begins to hum. The hum isn't failure. It's tension at the edge of snapping. The heaviness you feel is the last tension in the cord, one breath away from breaking. And once it breaks, the loop can't restart the way it used to. This is why you felt unusual emotional triggers lately. Not because you're regressing, but because the old structure is trying to extract reaction before it dissolves. Here is the key moment. You had a situation this week where you almost reacted, almost defended yourself, almost explained, almost fought for your position. And something in you held back. You walked away. You let it go. You stayed quiet. You thought that silence was you losing ground. But the Lyrans transmit, silence, when chosen from sovereignty, becomes a weapon of timeline control. It's the moment you refuse to feed the loop. A complete story. Imagine a person who always needs to prove themselves to a family member who never truly listens. For years, every conversation becomes a trial. One day, the same bait appears. The old reflex rises, heart rate spikes, words form. But this time the person pauses, breathes, and says nothing. They leave the room. Later, the family member tries again. No hook. Tries again. No hook. And suddenly the power dynamic collapses. The manipulator becomes confused because the fuel is gone. That's what happened in your field. You didn't lose. You removed fuel from a parasitic pattern. Cliffhanger. And if you think that moment was small, you're about to understand why the smallest act of restraint can rewrite the entire architecture of what arrives next. Some transmissions do not come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, if a deep resonance echoed in your soul, you may be ready to receive the feline codes. This short yet powerful transmission carries ancient Pleiadian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. The human mind expects dramatic signs. It expects build-up. It expects clear external proof before surrendering. But the Lyrans transmit that true timeline doors open silently because they are not theatrical, they are structural. And that is why so many people miss them. They keep waiting for the sky to speak while the grid is already shifting under their feet. In practical terms, no warning means this: the opportunity arrives in an ordinary wrapper. A message, a call, a random invitation, a person you didn't expect, a door that looks too simple for the magnitude it carries, and the counterforce tries to confuse you by making it feel too normal. It whispers, "That can't be it." But Lyran doors rarely arrive wearing crowns. They arrive wearing simplicity, because the test is not whether you can recognize spectacle, but whether you can recognize frequency. The Lyrans transmit, when a door is truly yours, your body recognizes it before your mind approves it. You'll feel a calm intensity. You'll feel a pull that is not desperation. You'll feel a strange familiarity, as if you've stepped into a room you've never seen, but your spine says, "I know this." That is blood memory. That is the lion architecture waking up. Here's an example from daily life. Someone has been stuck in cycles of almost. They want a new career, a new relationship pattern, a new creative platform, but every time they get close, they sabotage. Then one day, a small invitation appears. Can you help with this project? It's not glamorous, it's not the final destination, but the person feels a calm internal yes. They show up, they do the work. And inside that small door is a network, a skill unlock, a reputation shift, a frequency match. Months later, their entire life changes, and they realize it started with a door that didn't announce itself. Now, why does the counterforce try so hard to distract you right before the door arrives? Because distraction doesn't need to be dramatic, it just needs to be constant. Endless scrolling, random arguments, exhaustion, overthinking, anything that keeps your attention fragmented, because fragmented attention cannot hold a coherent frequency. And coherent frequency is what turns opportunity into activation. The Lyran teaching is this: readiness is not passive. It isn't sitting and waiting for the universe to drop something in your lap. Readiness is a posture. It's the decision to stop rehearsing delay and start operating from the reality that the decree has already been set. It's the stance of someone who knows the unseen has moved and the seen is catching up. So what do? You become present. You stop treating your days like background noise. You speak to your field. You anchor your spine. You choose not to be pulled into reactive drama. You sleep with intention. You wake with intention. You don't force the door. You become the frequency that recognizes it. Cliffhanger. And here is where it becomes deeper, because if the counterforce can't stop the door from arriving, it will try to poison how you receive it. There is a secret many don't want to admit. Sometimes people receive what they wanted, and it still hurts them. The door opens, the opportunity arrives, the relationship becomes real, the money increases, the visibility expands, and instead of freedom, they feel pressure. Instead of joy, they feel fear. Instead of gratitude, they feel suspicion. The Lyrans transmit the reason. A blessing received through distortion becomes a burden. The counterforce does not always need to cancel what is coming. Sometimes it simply needs you to receive it through the wrong filter. Through a filter of fear. This won't last. Through a filter of unworthiness. I don't deserve this. Through a filter of threat. If I relax, I'll lose it. And then your nervous system turns a gift into a cage. A complete story. Imagine someone who longed for love after years of loneliness. They finally meet a partner who is stable, kind, consistent. But the person's field is still trained by abandonment. So every quiet day feels like danger. They start checking for signs, testing, creating conflict, demanding reassurance. The relationship becomes exhausting, not because love wasn't real, but because the receiver didn't have the identity to hold it. The Lyrans transmit, identity is the vessel. If the vessel is cracked by old beliefs, whatever is poured in leaks out as anxiety, sabotage, or control. That's why your current season has demanded inner work, not as punishment, as preparation for sustainable receiving. This is where many people confuse spirituality with performance. They try to do more rituals or think more positive without repairing the core agreement in their field. But the Lyran path is structural. You align the architecture first, then the manifestation stabilizes. So what's the architectural core? Sovereignty, the lion frequency. The inner knowing, I do not shrink to be safe, I expand to be true. Because one of the biggest receiving distortions is shrinking. You become quieter right as you're meant to be seen. You pre-apologize for your gifts. You dim your voice so others don't feel threatened. You manage other people's comfort at the expense of your mission. And the Lyrans are direct. The season of suppression is over. You were not encoded to fit into the room. You were encoded to change the atmosphere of the room. That doesn't mean ego. It means frequency. It means you stop negotiating your light. Now, this is the moment in the transmission where I will ask you to interact, not for an algorithm, but as a frequency seal. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. Because what comes next isn't just a blessing, it's an exposure. And that exposure is the final preparation before the door fully opens. Many people believe exposure is punishment. They hear the word and think, I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to be judged. Everything hidden will be taken from me. But the Lyrans transmit something higher. Exposure is a gift of clearance. When frequency rises, it illuminates what cannot travel with you. What is coming, new wealth, influence, love, opportunities, creative platform, will not only change your external life, it will reveal what is still in your heart. Motives, beliefs, wounds, unfinished grief, unspoken resentment, old survival patterns, not because you're bad, because you're expanding, and expansion has a light, a complete story. Imagine someone who finally gets visibility online. They prayed for it, they worked for it, it arrives. Then suddenly their insecurity rises. They start comparing, they start craving validation, they start checking numbers. Their creativity becomes controlled. The platform didn't ruin them. The platform revealed what was already unhealed. Exposure shows you what your next level requires you to release. In practical terms, you may notice this in relationships. As doors open, the people around you respond. Some celebrate, some get distant, some become competitive, some reveal resentment, and that can be shocking. But the Lyrans transmit. The door doesn't just bring gifts, it brings truth. The frequency you carry becomes a mirror. It reflects what is aligned and what is not. This is why you're being asked not to shrink. Shrinking is often a strategy to avoid exposure. If you stay small, you don't have to confront what rises. But the Lyran frequency is not here to hide. It is here to lead. Now the counterforce tries to twist exposure into fear. If you expand, you'll lose people. If you speak, you'll be attacked. If you receive, you'll be punished. But that fear is an old imprint. The Lyrons transmit, what is truly aligned will not collapse under your expansion. It will adapt, grow, and become more honest. And if something does collapse, that doesn't mean you failed. It means the structure couldn't hold the frequency. You're not here to babysit structures that can't hold truth. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Because to hold what's coming, you need one thing above all: capacity. And capacity is not the same as desire. The Lyrons teach a law that is simple but ruthless. Flow continues until capacity ends. You can desire something deeply and still not have the internal space to hold it. Your field can want abundance while your nervous system is wired for survival. Your mind can want love while your body expects abandonment. Your spirit can want mission while your identity still fears visibility. Capacity is not positive thinking. Capacity is the size of the inner vessel you bring to the frequency. In everyday life, you see this with money. Some people manifest a sudden increase and immediately spend it, sabotage it, or create chaos because their internal capacity for stability is smaller than the inflow. Others receive love and immediately test it. Others receive peace and then create drama because peace feels unfamiliar. These are not moral failures. They are capacity mismatches. So how do you build capacity? The Lyrons transmit. You build it through repatterning. You create routines that teach your body safety and expansion. You practice receiving without apology. You stop shrinking to manage other people's reactions. You learn to sit in stillness without reaching for distraction. You release the old agreement that says, I must struggle to be worthy. A full story. Someone has spent years in hustle. They finally get a break, time off, money saved, a calm season. And instead of enjoying it, they feel restless. They start new problems. They overwork. They sabotage the calm. Why? Because their body learned that safety equals tension. The calm feels like danger, so they recreate struggle to feel normal. That is capacity, and it can be rewritten. The Lyrons transmit a practice: gather more vessels. In practical terms, this means expand what you believe you can hold, not as fantasy, but as identity. If you want a bigger mission, can you hold being seen without collapsing? If you want love, can you hold consistency without testing it? If you want money, can you hold stability without guilt? If you want peace, can you hold silence without filling it with noise? This is why your recent season has felt like it's peeling you. It's not punishment. It's vessel building. It's making you able to receive what you asked for. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. And now we arrive at the turning point, because most people get close enough to taste the breakthrough and then pull back. Not because the door is closed, but because of one hidden agreement. This is the part that will feel uncomfortably precise. Many people believe in higher realities. They believe in cosmic laws. They believe in destiny, in guidance, in timing. They believe that others can receive. They've seen it happen. They can even encourage others with full confidence. But then quietly, inside themselves, there is an agreement that says, not me, I'm the exception. Not spoken out loud, not dramatic, just subtle. It shows up as, it's probably too late. I always almost get there. Other people have luck. My story is different. I'm too flawed. I missed my chance. And that agreement becomes a ceiling. Not because the universe enforces it, but because your field keeps signing it. The Lyrons transmit. The counterforce loves this agreement because it doesn't require attacks. It turns you into your own limiter. It makes you interpret every delay as proof. It makes you interpret every closed door as identity. And then, even when the door is open, you hesitate, because you don't believe you're allowed to fully receive. A complete story. Someone wants a new life, but every time they get close, they say, "I just need one more course, one more improvement, one more sign." They call it wisdom. But it's fear with better vocabulary. It's preparation used as a hiding place. The Lyrons transmit, "Heaven does not wait for you to feel qualified. It waits for you to say yes. And you have been saying yes in pieces. In private moments. In tears. In lonely nights. In small acts of discipline no one saw. In times you didn't quit when quitting would have been easier. And what you didn't see is that the grid collects those yeses. It assembles them. It turns them into a seal. So the verdict is this: you are not the exception. The almost cycle ends when the agreement ends. And now, I'm going to give you the most important reframe. The restraint you showed, the silence you chose, the moment you didn't react, that was not you losing ground. That was you completing the loop. It was the final move. Because once this agreement breaks, the next phase begins immediately, and it will feel like your life is moving faster than your mind can explain. Some transmissions do not come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, if a deep resonance echoed in your soul, you may be ready to receive the feline codes. This short yet powerful transmission carries ancient Pleiadian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now we seal it. Not with fear, not with begging, with agreement. The Lyrons transmit. Declarations are not motivational phrases, they are coordinates. They tell your field what reality you are consenting to. They turn the unseen decree into a lived direction. So here's the Lyran decree. Speak it out loud if you can, or whisper it if you must. And if you cannot speak, read it with full attention, because attention itself is a form of consent. I revoke every contract I signed with delay. I revoke every agreement that said I was late. I revoke every belief that said my destiny was for others. My nervous system is not malfunctioning. It is recognizing a structural shift. My restlessness is not anxiety. It is unfinished assignment completing itself. My silence was not weakness. It was sovereignty. I anchor into the lion frequency within my spine. I open my field to receive without shrinking. I release the need to prove. I release the need to perform. I accept the truth that my timeline is not cursed. It is coded. What is meant for me does not require panic. What is meant for me recognizes me. What is meant for me arrives in alignment. I step through the open door with presence. I refuse distraction. I refuse sabotage. I refuse self-blame. I receive the arrival with steadiness, clarity, and calm power. Now, notice what happens in your body as you claim that. The chest loosens, the jaw releases, the eyes soften, because your field recognizes truth. And truth does not create hysteria. Truth creates stability. And when the door arrives, here is your instruction. Do not over-explain. Do not over-negotiate. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Step. Say yes, move, anchor. Because the Lyrons transmit, momentum is a language. When you move with clarity, the grid moves with you. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light. I invite you to discover our Arcturian Health channel. The link to the channel is in the video description. Warm regards, the Lyran Council.